India's S400 air defense system control room. The radar screen flashing point of light suddenly drew a strange arc with a speed of more than Mach 10 at the edge of the atmosphere, floating, intercepting the missile's calculated trajectory in the last second completely invalid. This is the scene in New Delhi in June 2025 in a secret military chess projections, and the core threat of the projections is from the Indian media, the China-Pakistan DF-17 deal. When the Asian defense security throughout the China is negotiating with Pakistan to export DF-17 hypersonic missile technology. News. South Asia's geopolitical balance as if a heavy stone was thrown. Some Pakistani media were quick to interpret this as a dramatic version of a free gift from China, without realizing that the source of this technology myth was an article on the Indian defense website, Indian Wings of Defense Research, that boasted about the country's missiles. An article boasting about the strength of its missile defense network, which claimed that the Pakistani side was forced to buy China's ultimate weapon because it was unable to break through India's defenses. Even more ironically, only a month ago, the Pakistan Air Force used Chinese CM-400 AKG missiles to precisely destroy India's state-of-the-art S-400 air defense system, a battle that has long since exploded the Indian media's carefully crafted air defense myths. The DF-17's non-interceptable characteristics are not just propaganda, but are deeply rooted in the physical rules of the fusion of the wave-carrying warhead and the Chancellor's ballistics. When the missile booster pushes it to the edge of the 100-kilometer high common line, the air density plummets to 1/1,000,000th of sea level, and the aerodynamic rudder, which is the basis for maneuvering of conventional anti-aircraft missiles, is completely ineffective at this altitude. At this time, the warhead to Mach 10 or more speed into the glide phase, equivalent to only 7 minutes from Beijing to Shanghai, air defense systems will be compressed to seconds of response time. What is more deadly is its trajectory characteristics. The wave-riding body jumps continuously at the edge of the atmosphere with the help of surge pressure, just like a stone slice drifting on the water surface, forming unpredictable maneuvering paths. India spent $5.4 billion to introduce the S-400 system, maximum intercept height of only 30 kilometers, in the 3,100 kilometers death-blind zone. Flight DF-17 completely helpless. Even the United States spent hundreds of billions of dollars to build the GMD anti-missile system. The success rate of its interception also tends to be close to zero. This three-dimensional strike dimension based on hypersonic physics, speed crushing, height suppression, trajectory change, constitutes the existing global anti-missile system of the insoluble problem. Its strategic value has touched China's national weapon. The production line is supervised by military personnel 24 hours a day, and technical experts are required to go abroad for 3 levels of approval. Indian media speculation, PAF in urgent need of DF-17, narrative. In May 2025, India-Pakistan conflict under the battle test more pale. In the field of air warfare, the PAF with J-10CE fighters and CM-400 AKG missiles, with a 6-0 record to shoot down the Indian Rafale, creating the world's first warplanes to destroy the S-400 record. China's provision of the airborne police 500 AWACS and the Baidu navigation system to build the reconnaissance strike chain, to realize the reconnaissance strike chain of the Indian Rafale strike chain, to achieve the found that is destroyed combat effectiveness. However, the field of missile attack, India by virtue of the BrahMos supersonic cruise missiles and European Storm Shadow missiles against the Pakistani territory, missiles launched a surprise attack on 5 major air bases in Pakistan. The Pakistani army, due to the lack of long-range precision counterattack capabilities, especially when India used the ceasefire agreement before the blind spot time to launch a surprise attack, resulting in the death of the ace pilot Usman Yusuf, who had downed 3 Rafale fighters, exposing the conventional deterrence of the fatal shortcomings. This asymmetric disadvantage has been a major factor in the development of the Rafale. Although this asymmetric disadvantage has become the real motivation for Pakistan to seek technological breakthroughs, it has been deliberately twisted by India into a chain of evidence for seeking to purchase the DF-17. The truth is, Pakistan's existing equipment system has been able to effectively suppress India's air defense. The unit price of only $8 million of CM-400 AKG missiles in actual combat many times to break through the defense of the S-400, proving that non-authentic hypersonic weapons also have a strategic breakthrough value. Even if we ignore the political constraints, the DF-17 still faces 3 hard obstacles to landing in Pakistan. Economic level. A single system is estimated at $50 million. The first batch of 24 sets of $1.2 billion. equivalent to Pakistan's 2024 arms budget of 13.7 billion US dollars. Nearly one-tenth of the Pakistani limited funds are being invested in a more cost-effective VZ-10 Mi attack helicopters and the construction of the local military industrial base level. The wave-riding body of the research and development relies on the fluid simulation of the Mianyang Wind Tunnel Group and the Tanha supercomputer. The Pakistani indigenous neither high-temperature ceramic composite mass production capacity, but also the lack of giant surge wind tunnel group. Even if the design drawings are difficult to realize the engineering transformation, strategic security level, the missile 2,500 km range covers the entire territory of India's nuclear facilities. If deployed in Pakistan, will force India to urgently purchase the Russian Dagger missiles, triggering a hypersonic. If deployed to Pakistan, the missile will force India to urgently purchase Russian Dagger missiles, triggering a hypersonic arms race, and a conventional conflict may escalate into a nuclear crisis. In the face of this bottleneck, China's military support to Pakistan has shifted to a more sustainable, system-busting model. Missile alternatives. CM400 AKG combat effectiveness has been verified. The cost of only 16% of the DF-17 air defense system construction, 40 J-35A stealth fighters, can break India's air superiority. Air Alert 500 early warning aircraft will expand the battlefield sensing radius of 1,200 kilometers. The Red Flag 19 anti-missile system specializes in intermediate-range ballistic missiles. Industrial autonomy on the path of the Karachi Aeronautical Combine in the path of industrial autonomy. The Karachi Aeronautical Complex is accelerating the localized production of the Dragon Block 3, and the assembly line of J-35A will be realized in 2030, so as to gradually get rid of the external dependence on equipment. This low-cost and high-performance collaboration model allows the Pakistani army to maximize combat power within a limited budget. China's net military trade exports hit a record high of 2.551 billion TIF in 2023, confirming the effectiveness of systematic export. The essence of the Indian defense establishment to hype DF-17 threat, in fact, to cover up the triple domestic crisis. Air defense myths need to shift the focus of public opinion. S400, destroyed by CM400 AKG. The public of the $5.5 billion procurement of ACE equipment, failure to question the urgent need to dispel military R&D debacle need external excuses. Domestic BM-04 hypersonic missile test firing failure, and the core components of the project rely on Israeli guidance chips and French inertial guidance system. The cost of a single piece of up to 80 million US dollars, but the performance is worrying. The urgent need to play up the external threat to fight for the budget. The West technology dependence exposed the need for strategic cover. May conflict. India relies on NATO satellite positioning to carry out missile raids. Wartime if the data chain is cut off. Its universal brand equipment due to the lack of data chain integration. Precision strike capabilities will be instantly paralyzed. Deeper look. India is using this to promote the $12 billion military procurement program, trying to make up for the technology generation gap with capital investment, but caught in a vicious circle. To intercept the hypothetical DF-17, an additional $10 billion to upgrade the anti-missile system, and the existing technology cannot break through the physical limit of interception. The essence of the military game in South Asia has shifted from a single weapon race to the reconstruction of systematic capabilities. China's military exports have always followed the principle of defensive priority. The missile control regulations expressly prohibit the sale of missiles with a range of more than 300 kilometers, even with reference to the Saudi Arabia to buy the DF-3 precedent. The transfer of technology will inevitably be accompanied by strict restrictions. Pakistan's Defense Minister Asif recently said bluntly, in the airspace above Kashmir, China provides a systematic combat system, which is not only the most cost-effective, but also the most cost-effective. Pakistan's Defense Minister Asif recently said bluntly, in the airspace above Kashmir, China's systematic combat capability is our most solid backing, indicating that Islamabad attaches more importance to the early warning aircraft, data chain, missile chain, of the effectiveness of the actual combat, rather than an isolated, dream weapon. And India, if India continues to pour resources into intercepting non-existent hypersonic threats, it will only repeat the mistakes of the BM-04 missile. 5 years and 5 test firings have not yet solved the basic problem of launch cover falling off, but at a cost of billions of dollars. The BM-04 missile will only make the same mistake. 5 test firings in 5 years without solving the basic problem of the cap falling off. and cost billions of dollars. When the Dragon fleet with CM-400 AKG pierces the clouds of Kashmir again, the winner of the game has long been clear. Modern war belongs to systematic thinking, not the apotheosis of a single weapon. The rumors of the DF-17 will eventually dissipate in the collision between the laws of physics and geopolitical realities, but China and Pakistan's practical cooperation in the fields of data chain integration and industrial localization is reshaping the power balance in South Asia with a silent but solid force. The scale,